Good morning, everyone. I am Crystal Hinkle, and I am part of the team here at Syncro. I do have Randy and Mike from Bitdefender with us today, and we've got a lot of information to go over. Just a few housekeeping things I thought it would be helpful. Maybe just let me know that you can hear me okay. I We will be recording this, and so if you do have to hop out early for any reason, we are recording. Um, okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the integration itself. I'm going to show you that. And then I'm going to kind of hand it over to Randy and Mike. They're going to go through kind of the integration and maybe a little bit more technical detail. They're going to go through all of the add-ons. We've had the integration with Bitdefender for a while now. Just recently, we did release a ton of add-ons that ultimately really enable you as MSPs to offer more protection to your customers and then in turn make more money yourselves. And so the primary goal of this webinar is to really help you have all of the tools you need to sell these amazing add-ons and make more money. So with that said, as we go on, I do have chat on. So if you see me looking over here, I am usually just looking at either the chat or the Q&A. Honestly, the Q&A, in my opinion, is the easiest for us to kind of keep up on as we're going through these questions so that we can kind of make sure that we're not missing a ton of things. So the Q&A is probably the best way to go. So what I was gonna do here, I'll just kind of take it away on my end. I'm gonna go into just my actual Syncro account here. And so I think the primary thing that I'd like to just show you is that really, if you just head to your App Center, you're going to see the Bitdefender app card right here. And this is where you provision this account. And so while you're in a trial, you actually, at this point, you do need to have a paid Syncro account to provision this account. So you set it up through here. Once you've done that, you receive an email from Gravity Zone, and then you're allowed to continue to complete that integration, bring over API keys and things like that. And I'm fairly certain Mike's going to kind of go through that portion in a little bit more detail. Once that is all set up, then it's really just a matter of plug and play on the Syncro side. So depending where you're at in your journey with Syncro, not knowing exactly how far your knowledge goes in regards to setting up policies, but really it's very simple to enable Bitdefender. So whatever policy that you create, you can see the assets that are applied. And then you'll see a little bit further down, you've got your antivirus. So you've got Bitdefender here. So really, once you enable this, what's nice is that you'll also see the Bitdefender modules that you can enable as well on a policy level. So when you enable Bitdefender on a policy, and then you install Syncro onto that device, it's going to automatically install Bitdefender. That asset will then show up in the Gravity Zone portal where you can apply more specific Gravity Zone add-ons like we're going to talk about today, manage all of those threats and all of those controls from there. The other thing that's worth noting too is if you already have Syncro installed on a device, you can enable that on a policy at any time. It doesn't require like an uninstall of the Syncro agent and a reinstall. You can just do that right away. And it'll just automatically enable that push of the Bitdefender install. So most of the controls are in the Gravity Zone portal. So once you've done this on the Syncro side, then like I mentioned, you'll see that asset in the Gravity Zone portal. And so really, I mean, once that integration is set up, it's really quick, easy, plug and play. And then again, like I mentioned, the main priority of this webinar is I'm not exactly sure if Randy is starting or if Mike is starting, but I'm going to hand that over, and they're going to really kind of dive into the nitty gritty of those add-ons and where you find them in Gravity Zone and that sort of thing. So Mike, Randy, whoever wants to kind of take over from here, I can stop sharing and you can go ahead and move on.
Yeah, so I think Mike's gonna share the slides on the screen so
You bet.
have visibility to the demo, and then we'll get us started.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate you putting this together. So we're excited to talk to all the Syncro MSPs.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yep, I'm going to go on mute. You do your thing. Thank you.
Great. Can you see my slide, Randy?
Yes, sir. We gotcha.
Awesome. All right.
So we'll go ahead and get started. We're just going to give you guys a little bit of background before I hand it over to Mike. We lost it. There we go. A little bit of background on Bitdefender before we kind of dig into the add-ons that Crystal mentioned. So Mike, if you want to click to the next slide. So a little bit about Bitdefender is we are a global cybersecurity company. We were founded in 2001. We are a technology first company. So as you can see on the slide, we employ over 1,600 people globally, and over 800 plus of them, so half of our workforce, focuses on research and development and engineering. So we are a product technology company first, and then a sales and marketing company second. 38% of global cybersecurity firms actually use Bitdefender technology in some form or fashion. So we really like to call that out because that's a significant portion of the industry that utilizes Bitdefender in some way. So we can go ahead and click to the next slide. So we're just going to talk a little bit about why choose Bitdefender? Why would you utilize Bitdefender for your security needs? So there are 3 key benefits that we like to talk about. So essentially ease of use, the fact that we are vendor agnostic, and that we can help you increase your revenues. So as you'll see in a slide following, we'll show you an overview of our portfolio, and we are more than just an antivirus solution. We are a complete layered security cloud management suite. So we have a multi-tenancy cloud console that you guys can utilize for all of our solutions in our portfolio, and we are vendor agnostic. So we work with Windows, Linux, Mac, both servers and workstations, virtual and physical. And then we also have a ton of partner alliances with vendors such as we're a Microsoft partner. We work with Citrix, VMware, and a slew of other companies. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Mike, and he's going to talk you through the portfolio and give you a brief demo.
Thanks, Randy. Hi, my name is Michael Reeves. I'm a security architect with Bitdefender, and just happy to be able to spend some time with you today talking about our cloud security suite. As Randy mentioned, we are compatible with Windows, Linux, and Mac systems. Very, very simple from a single package to deploy on any of those operating systems. And as she mentioned, we have a single multi-tenant console. So we have integrated email, endpoint, web protection, network protection, as well as advanced threat security, EDR, encryption, device control, a lot of different technologies into a single multi-tenant management UI. It's single, very simple billing. And one of the things that I want to point out as I kind of build out this slide is there are over 30 layers of security protection built into the Bitdefender solution. So when we talk about layered security, and that's a huge buzzword in the industry, many partners think that that layered security includes layers from 30 plus different vendors, and they think that that is a more secure environment than a single integrated security product with the same 30 layers of protection. And I hope that you'll see this morning or this afternoon that 30 layers of prevention from the same vendor will actually yield better results and more protection as those layers are integrated and you have visibility and coordinated threat protection from those 30 layers of protection. So this is an overview of the Cloud Security Suite. Again, starting from the middle and then working out, we have a single agent that we deploy onto an endpoint, whether, as Randy mentioned, that endpoint is a desktop or laptop, or it could be a server, it could be a Linux machine, a Mac machine, or a Windows machine. Once we deploy that agent, the following capabilities are at your disposal and you can sell into that particular customer's environment without having to deploy another agent to enable these features. So very, very important, single console, single agent. We have both local and cloud machine learning, AV and anti-malware engine built in. We started, interesting fact about Bitdefender, we started machine learning actually in the product back in 2008. So about 12 years ago is actually when Bitdefender started using machine learning in their products. And we have multiple different patents surrounding machine learning and our AI engine that, as Randy mentioned, about 38% of security technology providers are utilizing this technology. And one of the reasons why is that a machine learning and AI engine is only as good as the data set that you have available for that machine learning engine. Well, one of the other interesting facts about Bitdefender, we have the largest security footprint on the endpoint globally. We have over 600 million endpoints that are currently being protected by Bitdefender that are all feeding data into that machine learning and AI engine, which is why those technology providers want to get a hold of the technology and incorporate that into their security platform. So single agent, single console, local and cloud machine learning. With our core product, which many of you have deployed in your environment, our core product contains multiple different layers of protection for you. So as part of that core product, you have a network attack defense, which prevents, which looks at all network traffic, both inbound and outbound traffic, whether that's north-south traffic, in other words, web kind of traffic, or whether it's east-west traffic. We are analyzing, and you can put policy around and set controls around that network layer. We also have anti-exploit defense built in. It's not a separate product. It's not a separate agent. It's built right into our core. We have, we look at all processes running on a system to determine their risks. We have the ability to control content on an endpoint. And what I mean by that is web content. So we have a web filtering mechanism where you can filter by category, filter by website, you can blacklist, you can also add exclusions to that content. We have the ability to control devices, I/O devices on a Bitdefender protected endpoint where, like, for example, if you want to lock down USB keys where only a certain vendor with a certain ID are able to plug into your customer machines, you can do that. I talked a little bit about the web filtering engine. And one of the things that we've invested a lot in over the last year or so is a technology that we call risk analytics. This, again, is part of the core. And what risk analytics does is it goes out and scans your Windows environments for thousands of security vulnerabilities, whether they be network vulnerabilities, whether they be operating system vulnerabilities, whether they be application vulnerabilities. And then we present that to you within the Gravity Zone portal, and I can actually show you this during our demo, where we will prioritize those security vulnerabilities and then allow you to, with one click of a button, remediate the vulnerabilities that you select. And we also, if they are, let's say they're application vulnerabilities, with one click of a button, you can patch those systems. We give you the CVEs associated with those vulnerabilities. And again, one click of a button, you can patch. So really lowering, the idea is to reduce the attack surface in your customers' environments to make them overall more secure, and make it easier for you to move your human resource capital into more high-valued kind of activities. So that's our core. What we came here to talk about today are our external, or on the external part of the wheel, which is our optional add-on features. These are all, these give you the ability to increase your revenue within an account, and provide the same integrated experience from a management as well as no other agent to deploy in your environment. So we give you the visibility, we give you the ability to integrate policies, both from a endpoint perspective, but also from an email perspective, from an EDR perspective, and all you do is you add on various features. So for example, if you want to add the ability to have a centralized kind of scanning server within a virtualized environment. So if you have a customer that has a huge virtual presence, like a VDI environment, where you don't want to take CPU cycles, you can add security for virtualized environments. We have a patch management platform built in. We have advanced threat security, and we'll talk about these in a little bit more detail. We have endpoint detection and response, we have encryption, and we have email security, all built into the same suite. And so let's move forward. Let's look at each one of these, and then we'll kind of dive into Gravity Zone, and I'll actually show you where these are and the value they produce within the Gravity Zone platform. So security for virtualized environments, I talked a little bit about this, but this is basically offloading your scanning to what we call a security virtual appliance. It's a dedicated virtual machine in your environment, and this moves the processing for scanning off of your production hosts onto this security virtual appliances. And recent tests that we've done, in fact, a friend of mine here at Bitdefender and myself were actually testing this out yesterday for a particular client. And just to give you an idea, in this particular environment, a normal full system scan was taking about 250 megabytes of memory to run a full system scan over multiple hosts. And it was consuming about 30% of the CPU. So really, really taxing when you're running full system scans. Bitdefender doesn't require this anymore, but let's say that you, to function successfully in your customer environment, in fact, we don't recommend doing full scans unless you're in a highly regulated industry where you have to demonstrate compliance. And so full system scans, typically not the default install on Bitdefender, but we're trying to stress the systems. So we installed one of these security virtual appliances in this particular environment, ran the same full system scans, and we saw a 500% decrease in resource utilization by deploying one of these security virtual appliances. So that 250 megabytes went down to 50 megabytes per system. And then the CPU utilization dropped from about 30-something% down to like 6%. So very, very huge value in a highly virtualized environment. This is an extra add-on benefit that you can sell to your customers, make more money. The next one is patch management. This automates Microsoft and third-party patching. It really simplifies your job as administrator because we go out, we look at over 800 plus vendors and all of their applications, and then you're able to automatically patch those systems. If you're using a risk management, we'll map all of the security vulnerabilities to their corresponding CVEs. And again, that then right from that risk management console, you can click patch these systems and it will automatically patch those systems. So again, how do you sell it? You just, it's the core product and then you add patch management per your device. So another way to add revenue stream. The next two are kind of near and dear to my heart, and I'll actually show you these in Gravity Zone. Advanced threat security is highly recommended nowadays, especially with modern day ransomware and attacks that elude most endpoint security products. You need extra layers of protection when it comes to modern day malware, whether that is malware delivered via email, which most of the malware today actually gets delivered via email, or whether you're dealing with zero-day or kind of fileless attacks where an attack spawns a command, it opens up a PowerShell. All of this is all fileless based, which then executes encryption and encrypts your customers' environments. Those types of advanced based attacks really require this add-on to defend your environments against these types of attacks. And we call this add-on Advanced Threat Security. This includes two types of modules that I'll show you in Gravity Zone. It includes our HyperDetect, which is our tunable machine learning engine. And then the second piece is our Sandbox analyzer, which I'll show you in the UI, where you can, where Bitdefender will upload a particular object, whether that object be an application, a file of some sort. It could be an email, it could be an archive. There's all sorts of different types of objects that you can upload. It will detonate those objects on our Sandbox analyzer, analyze the actual threat on our platform rather than having it detonate on your customer's device. And then by policy, Bitdefender will take action that you specify in Gravity Zone. So this is sold as advanced threat security. It's sold per device. It's very, very simple to enable within the Gravity Zone policy. And I'll show you actually how to do that. That's for kind of zero-day threats that are pretty prevalent today in our customers' environments. And another one is EDR. This actually goes really well with advanced threat security. So when you have zero-day and you want to protect yourself, you're going to, and protect your customers' environments, you're going to deploy advanced threat security. If you want visualization of the defense of your customers' environments, we call that EDR. EDR gives you full incident visualization of the attack, whether it's the incursion via email, the opening of the document, the initiation of scripts, and encryption application gets invoked, etc. Bitdefender is going to respond from a protection mechanism, from our protection controls that are set up, but then you'll be able to visualize that attack And then we will also map that attack to the MITRE framework, and we will give you very detailed information. And then if you have to take manual action as a result of something that happens in your customer's environment, so for example, if you need to isolate a machine, or maybe it's a benign process that's been detected by Bitdefender, you can actually, from one click, exclude that process or that script in your environment as benign. And so Bitdefender basically won't respond to that because you've designated that as benign. Those types of manual intervention are also enabled via endpoint detection and response. That is another add-on to our core product. And so very, very easy to add both ATS as well as EDR and provide modern day security for your customers' environments. And the last two are full disk encryption. This is where you turn on Bitdefender's capability to integrate with native BitLocker or native file vault, and we will enforce the encryption policy, plus we will store the encryption keys on the Gravity Zone platform. So if we ever need to recover remotely, you can actually go ahead and do that. So that's called full disk encryption. And the last one is email security, where we use an MX redirect. You redirect your mail, whether that mail is coming from Office 365, G Suite, or any type of mail platform. It could be cloud-based or it could be on-premise, as long as you can redirect mail to us through an MX redirect. We will clean that mail for you. So anti-spam, anti-malware, and what I think is one of its unique aspects is Bitdefender is very, very concerned, as you should be, about what we call business email compromise, where this is where an employee at your customer receives an email from what supposedly is one of the directors of that company, whether that be an executive, whether that be the chief financial officer, or the president of the company, or the manager, or something, asking them to perform a certain action. Usually it involves money. So please transfer $30,000 into X account, and the employee, and usually it's a rushed situation, and they target these type of individuals who have access to finances within your customer environment. They send an email that we call business email compromise. And Bitdefender actually has a really ingenious mechanism to prevent this type of activity in your customers' environments. What we do is we track legitimate users in Active Directory. And if an email is spawned by a non-legitimate user, whatever the source may be, we flag it for investigation, and typically that trips our protection mechanisms. And so only legitimate Active Directory users within your customers' environments can be sending email without our control putting in protection mechanisms surrounding that. So very, very unique solution in the business email compromise. All of this is built into Gravity Zone. So let's talk a little bit about some of our competition. Mostly when it comes to competition, what's unique about Bitdefender in the marketplace is we are a full suite security vendor, where a lot of our competitors either only focus on the endpoint, or they only focus on email, or they only focus on like DNS protection, or whereas Bitdefender actually provides layered security in an integrated management UI, multi-tenant from the core, and gives you the ability as a partner to not only increase your protection by adding, let's say, EDR or adding encryption, but you're not doing it from a different vendor where now you have to become, as the partner, the system integrator. You also have to provide some sort of mechanism for visibility to have vendor A plus vendor B plus vendor C. You have to integrate those technologies, plus you have to figure out a way to visualize the attack chain so that you can respond. Whereas with Bitdefender, you have it all built in, and all you do is you enable the use of it via an optional agent or an optional module. So for example, if you want to add encryption, you just click in Gravity Zone and you turn it on, and now you have the ability to encrypt. If you want to add email security, you click in the Gravity Zone UI, you set up the MX redirect, and now you have email security. You have no different management UI, you have no different agent to deploy, it's all integrated. So let's take a look at Gravity Zone. Let me go ahead and stop sharing, and then I'm gonna, I am going to share. I'll take us right into the management UI. So give me 1 second here. All right. In my
While you're getting that sharing ready, I just wanted to let everyone know this is being recorded and we will send it out probably tomorrow. We'll probably post it on Facebook as well as send out to everybody that registered. So just wanted to throw that out there while you're transitioning.
Awesome. That's great. All right, let me go ahead and share. I will share that one. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so this is Gravity Zone. This is our multi-tenant management console. As I talked about, all of the options are contained within this. So here's our email security. Here's our sandboxing. We have encryption built into the policy. So a lot of these features are just enabled via policy. So here's our advanced threat, HyperDetect, that we talked about. Here's our sandbox analyzer. Here's our network protection, our patch management. Here's encryption. Here's our EDR sensor, and here's risk management. So the technologies that we talked about, all contained within a single management UI. So to give you kind of a high-level overview of how this works, as Crystal mentioned, what you'll do, and the integration is done via APIs. So basically, Bitdefender has a centralized API access URL, and what you'll do is you'll create a key that will link to Syncro. And the main key when you're generating this key is you want to enable all of these APIs so you have the full functionality of Gravity Zone when you set up this integration. When I click save, it sets up an integration key, and then that is what you put into your Syncro portal, and that allows administrative access into Gravity Zone via APIs to where your Syncro platform now corresponds and can integrate via APIs into Gravity Zone. So once you do that, you have the ability to deploy packages, manage policies, etc. But one of the things, so that's how you kind of set up the integration. Very, very simple. Generate an API key, put that API key into Syncro. you put the URL access into Syncro, and you're done. So very, very simple to manage from a gravity zone perspective. You'll see, you'll have in the network tab, you'll see a visualization of all of your companies that you are managing within gravity zone. You can also see various computers and groups. If you want to look at them within gravity zone, you can do a whole bunch of things within this portal. We have packages that you deploy within gravity zone. You've got the ability to create packages. So this is where you enable modules for your customers. So for example, if this particular company, I want to enable encryption, I check the box. If I want to not enable encryption, I don't check. Last year, you deployed a bunch of Bitdefender agents, and now and you want to advanced threat security and EDR in your customers in a couple of clicks, and you can add these particular capabilities that Bitdefender comes out with, both now as well as in future years. So very, very simple to manage. We've also got our policies, and this is where you start to enable certain functionality within Bitdefender. So for example, let's say I get a lot of questions on how do I control what my end user sees with Bitdefender. So for example, I only, the most requested pop-up that they would ever want to see, a partner normally wants to show their end users, is if they want to restart. If a update or something like that requires a restart of an endpoint. Very, very simple to do within Gravity Zone. You're going to display notification pop-ups. You're going to uncheck all of these boxes because you don't need any of these. You're going to set the update as critical, so you need an update. You're going to basically show any updates. So show my customer restart notifications. And I want to show them anytime there's an update that's going to require a restart. That's how I do it. Very, very simple to do. If I want to display other things, and notice all the way up here at the top, oops, all the way up here at the top, we have what's called silent mode. Silent mode is exactly what it says. That means your customer is not going to see anything for any reason about Bitdefender on their endpoint, including whether or not you need to reboot the machine. I don't recommend this in the policy. You can set uninstall passwords right here. So very, very simple to do. One of the questions I also get is, what is this power user? Power user is built into Bitdefender, and it allows you as a partner, let's say that you send a tech on site, and you want that tech from the laptop or desktop that they're working on be able to manage Gravity Zone right from the endpoint. That's what we call power user. You basically enable that functionality. You set up an administrative password that your tech inputs when they select power user on that particular desktop or laptop, and they'll be able to administrate from the end user's machine without having to log in to Gravity Zone. So that's what power user is. Our anti-malware policies are all built in to a policy that you apply to a company. We have on access, on execute. This is our hyper detect engine. So this is one of our optional features where you can set the protection level per type of threat vector, whether that be ransomware or suspicious files or network traffic. You can tell Bitdefender, okay, I want to be normal from a machine learning AI engine and aggressiveness towards network or exploits, but I want you to be very aggressive with ransomware and maybe a little bit permissive when it comes to grayware. And then what type of action do you want Bitdefender to take when it encounters one of these threat vectors in your customer's environments? Do you want to delete? Do you want to move to quarantine? Do you want to report only? Same thing with network traffic. Do I want to block it? Do I want to report only? The Sandbox Analyzer is another option that's all within the same policy for a particular customer. It is enabled by checking this box. Very, very difficult to enable Sandbox Analyzer within a gravity zone. The check of a box. You tell us, you tell the policy how you want Bitdefender to take action on, again, what objects in your environment, and Bitdefender will react accordingly based upon the settings that you set up. One of the questions that I saw in the chat actually before we got started that I'll answer here since we're in the UI is the area of, I think it was, why does Bitdefender block printers? And the most common reason is you have firewall rules that are set up, and you're going to want to create an application rule to exclude the print spooler within Gravity or within the endpoint. So you want to give the printer IP address right here. So you want to give it the IP address for the printer. You want to set up the rule, and the application path is the print spooler. So I think it's spooler sv.exe. It's in your Windows directory. So you're going to want to create an exclude rule because if you turn on the firewall by default, it's not going to allow kind of network printing. Notice network printing is a deny by default. You want to allow that and create an exception for your printer. So that's one of the areas that you need to set within Bitdefender to allow network printing. We've got an integrated patch management system. Again, it is turned on by checking this box. We will scan for both application updates as well as security updates. We will map out those various vendors, and then you can set up your patch management to go out and automatically patch. So that is also part of the policy. The other options, here's how you set up encryption. Again, you check the box, you set it to encrypt, you apply this policy to a particular customer, and we will enforce encryption, whether it be on Windows or Mac machines. Our EDR sensor is turned on by just, again, checking the box. And then this is how you set up our risk management. You check the box. All the EDR
Oh, Mike, I don't know if you can hear me, but I think we're kind of cutting out a little bit. let's see here. I think, yeah, maybe Mike we lost Mike.
Yay, I'm back.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you again.
Awesome. Okay, I was talking on, you know, my internet's kind of spotty now that I've got 3 kids at home that are now doing schooling. So they are chewing up my bandwidth. So I apologize about that. So let me show you EDR. So when I go into our EDR sensor, and can you guys see my screen still?
No, I can't see your screen anymore.
Okay, let me reshare here. Sorry about that.
And Mike, when you reshare, is it best, since you're in Gravity Zone right now, after you're done about EDR, is it okay if I ask a few questions from the Q&A?
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, can you guys see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so we are in our EDR console, and when we talk about attack visualization, this is what we are talking about. So I can, through, actually, let me blow this up here. Oops. So what I can do is I can go in and look visually at various incidents within the attack chain. So I can look at from the start. So for example, I can look at, okay, what is occurring in my environment, and each of these objects are interactive. So we'll tell you exactly what's happening from start to finish in a particular attack chain. And then we'll also tell you what process is happening. We'll tell you, we'll map it to various, whether it be virus totals, we'll give you the ability to search on different objects within an environment. And we'll give the ability to, again, fix and remediate whether I need to kill a system, I need to isolate a system, I need to quarantine a file, I need to add this process as benign. So add an exception into Bitdefender for this particular process to help me with false positives that are really typical in EDR solutions. They're very, very finicky, and they're throwing up tons of alerts and hoping that you know, something's going to stick where you could take action on it. Bitdefender approaches EDR from a protection first, and then a visualization, and then gives you the ability to intervene in a particular situation where, again, you need to kill a process, isolate a machine, add files as exceptions, add as blacklists. And it's really designed for the common person. We'll tell you exactly which object did what in what timeline. So we'll show you what actually happened, and we will map this to its timeline and map it to the MITRE techniques that are
I think we're losing you, Mike.
used. So, for example, here
Hey, Mike.
I'm back.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and start asking your questions since we're coming up on the top.
Okay, there's a couple questions that I don't necessarily know if you need to do like a full screen share, but one of the questions was, well, 2 questions around the power user option. One question, is the password global per company?
Okay, it can be. Oh, you mean, so let me ask, what password are you referring to? I'm assuming you mean the uninstall password for the agent.
I believe that it's the power user password that you showed that if you had a technician.
Ah, great question. So it can be per company or it can be global. If you apply the policy to the top level global company, which would be you, your company as a partner, then it would cascade onto all of your customers that are associated with that policy. Or you can apply it per company, and then you can change, you can have different passwords per company. So the answer, I guess, it could be both, depending on how you want to deploy that.
Okay, great. And I saw another question earlier too, and I just didn't know if this had any capabilities with the power user. If say an MSP has a customer that maybe they have like an on-site technician or something that wants to have some amount of control in Gravity.
Yes.
Is that a use case for the power user, or is there any way to get
Absolutely
that would work? Okay, good.
Yeah, that would work. You can also set them up as a user for that particular company within Gravity Zone and limit their ability to both manage as well as see only the objects for that company. They wouldn't see any other company. And that's done when you set up the user. You specify the company, and then you specify their rights within Gravity Zone to those company objects. So you could do it either way. You could do it via the power user. You could do it via adding them as a user in Gravity Zone and limiting their functionality and visibility, or you could do both. Either one. Great questions.
Okay, great. Okay, let's see. I'm just scanning through the Q&A. A lot of the questions are around like what, I guess, what is included in just the normal Gravity Zone.
Okay.
Per endpoint pricing. So
Yep.
just clear that up. Like we do have tiered pricing. So from like 1 to 499 endpoints, it's $1.30 per endpoint. And then
Gotcha.
500 to 1,000, it's $1.10. Over that, it's $1 per endpoint. And then
yep.
I can share my screen too. I've put this into the chat box a couple times, but we do have all of the pricing set out here. So any of these add-ons that we've discussed, we do have the pricing here. So a lot of the questions were, let's see, is EDR included? Is DNS protection included? I know EDR.
Great questions. Yeah, so EDR is an add-on. DNS protection is part of our web content filtering, which is part of the core. So what's part of the core is device protection. So for example, USB devices, device control is part of the core. Our risk management platform is part of that core. We view that as a core feature. Our exploit defense is part of the core. We've got our network attack defense, the firewall, all of those types of features are all part of the core solution. Power user is part of the core. So the only optional features are the ones that you have actually on your price list there, where you have email, you have advanced threat security, which I would highly recommend as part of an EDR kind of solution for your customer. So you would sell them ATS or advanced threat security plus EDR. Encryption is optional. Patch management is optional. And then the virtualized environment stuff is optional. So those are our options. Everything else that we've talked about is part of the core, which is why we score so high in third-party tests, is because we have tons of protection controls built within our core agent. Great questions.
I guess since I know that our time is running out, for our
Huh?
MSPs that are listening in, and whether this is Mike or Randy, to best answer this question, what do you see from a managed service standpoint, something that is like an offering like right out of the gate that they could, easily sell to their customers to, throw on a few hundred endpoints and not only offer their customers the best protection, but also raise their revenue? Like, can you give some like just hidden gems there of maybe the easiest or quick wins?
Well, I would say, and I'll let Randy chime in here as well, but I would say if I were to, well, typically an MSP will have some sort of email solution already in place, hopefully, because most of your malware comes in through email. If you don't have email, then that is number one. I would sell them email security as the first conversation you want to have with your customers is they need email security. But let's say they have that, whether it's from Bitdefender or some other vendor. The next I would pair them would be the advanced threat security and EDR. Every one of your customers is concerned about ransomware, or they should be. It is blossoming. It is only getting worse with work from home because now you have employees that are working outside typically of corporate firewalls and things like that, and protection mechanisms that are put in place to protect them while they're working from home. You probably have RDP services turned on so that you can remotely manage those work at home systems. That same RDP process now can be exploited by anyone on the internet and for malicious gain. And that, to me, poses a huge risk right now for not only ransomware, but just maybe they will have an incursion into an employee's system. And then once we all go back to work as normal, they will have that system already compromised. They'll sit there and wait, and then they'll compromise other systems in the next month or two. So the ATS as well as EDR are the conversations you want to start having with your customers today, to talk to them about how to protect themselves against advanced threats that are out there. So
Awesome.
that's my advice. Randy, what sort of thoughts do you have?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I was actually going to say the same thing. The first thing that I would start off with is obviously email security if you're not already offering some type of solution today to your customers. And then the extra layers or the added layered security approach that we do provide to our customers and our partners is the fact that we have 30 plus layers of prevention included in our core license alone. And then we offer the EDR and ATS advanced threat protection modules, which will help cover that detection and response portion of the cybersecurity kill chain that everybody looks to make sure that we're covering from a layered security approach. So we really do that. If you want to offer a complete solution, that those are the three things that I would recommend offering from a sales perspective. And obviously, a lot of our MSPs that I speak with on a daily basis, they really enjoy the simplicity of our solutions and the fact that it is in one single pane of glass, so they don't have to have a multitude of different vendors to accommodate that need. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really helpful. It's nice to be able to see in Gravity Zone that it is literally like just clicks of buttons to enable these things, to be able to offer amazing protection and obviously, upsell to your clients as well. So I'm realizing that we are at 11 o'clock. So I'm not sure. I know that we have some questions that we didn't get through all the way in the Q&A. If you all have additional questions, things that we didn't touch on today, please let us know. You can reach out to myself or help@syncromsp.com also. So if you do have any additional questions, please let us know. And then, yeah, do you guys want to do this? I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so I apologize, guys. It completely slipped my mind at the very beginning, but we are going to be giving away a Bitdefender box, which is our IoT security solution for your home. So it's very convenient now that everybody is in a work from home environment. This is a great way to protect your home network. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask, I think we have 4 questions, so 3 questions and then a tiebreaker. Utilize the chat, and we will keep track of which person gets the most questions correct. And then we'll get your address. We'll shoot you an email and we'll send the Bitdefender box directly to your house. So first question, what are the 3 main benefits of using Bitdefender?
You can go ahead and answer in the chat. And Randy, let me know when I should advance the slide.
Okay.
Good responses.
Wow, yeah, you guys.
Nice.
All right, awesome. I think we can go to the next one.
Okay.
How many layers of security are included in the core product?
Oh, she just said it.
Hopefully you were paying attention.
Awesome. All right, next question.
Okay.
True or false? Over 50% of Bitdefender employees are engineers. Good. Awesome. All right.
And I don't know if we have another one, Randy.
Oh, we don't?
I think we have 3. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, I guess it's 3 questions. Crystal, you and I will have to, you, myself, and Heather will have to convene afterwards and figure out who the...
Okay. All right, well, that sounds good. Mike, Randy, thank you so much for your time today. You went over a ton of useful information that's also super helpful for me to know. Again, for everyone that's here, we did record this. It'll go out on probably social media. It's probably tomorrow. You'll also get an email, and then you'll probably be hearing from Randy as well if you won the Bitdefender box. So thank you all so much for attending today. We really appreciate it. Please stay safe, stay healthy. Let us know if you have any additional questions.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Mike. Bye-bye.
Take care.